Okay, good morning. So this is the third and the last method for the solving test that we took for quadratics, which was March 13th. If you recall, your test was on solving the quadratic by completing the squares, solving by square roots, and the quadratic formula. So this is the completing the square one. It's the lecture and the assignment. So I'm just going to kind of pan it over so you can copy it. I'll do 1 and 4. Remember, you got to have the steps. If all you do is send me the answers, you're not going to get any credit, okay? Remember, this is review. We covered this. Okay, we're going to complete the square. Ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Remember, your a value should be 1 when you're going to, when you will complete the steps. I'm looking at the dog outside. I mean, my cat is taunting the dog. Okay, so your a value should be 1, okay? If it is not 1, then you need to divide out that number. So this is what I'm referring to. Well, hold on. You see 1x squared, 1x squared, 1x squared, 10x squared. So here what you're going to end up doing is you're going to divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10, which is just 0. And then you'll go ahead and solve it like I solved number 1. So I'll set this up for you, but I won't solve it completely. And there you go. Okay. All right. So here we go. My a value is 1. My b value is positive 8. My c value is negative 45. Okay. So your first step is the a value 1? Yes, it's 1. Great, go on to step 2. Okay, your step 2 is take your c value, and your c value needs to go over. And then we're going to inverse operate it, take it to the right side of the equal sign, and then we're going to create boxes, right? Do you remember that box I would create just so that we wouldn't forget? Okay, so plus, I'm going to put a box here, if you remember. All right, negative 45, I'm going to cross this equal sign. Whoops. So I will get positive 45, and then I'm going to create a box as well. Okay, if you recall, what is the box for? Right, keep going. Yes, yes. Okay, it's your b over 2 squared. So if you remember your formula, you take the b value, divide it by 2, and you square it. That is what goes into the box, right? That's why I have these, or the square, whichever. It's not 3-dimensional, but okay. So my b value is 8. So I'm going to take it down. B divided by 2 squared. Okay, so I'm going to substitute 8 divided by 2 squared. Now, just like I told you in class, do not skip steps. Do not just go 8 divided by 2 is 4, 4 squared is 16, and then write a 16 there. I tell you, compute it separately. So first the division, then put the parentheses in the squared, then square it. Then you get that number with it, which is the box. Okay, so here's what I'm referring to. 8 divided by 2 is 4 squared. I realize you can probably do this in your head, your mental math. However, I want it written out because then I'm going to color code and tell you what to do after that. And since it's been, I don't know, maybe 2 months since we've done this, we're just reviewing to kind of get you back into the game. Okay, this is our box number. So that 16 is what is going to go into, let's see, hopefully it writes nicely. There, right? So that's completing the square. Okay, now the reason why is we complete the square because essentially what you have here is a sum of 2 squares. Okay, if you recall, your next step is to factor the left and sum the right. Okay, so if I sum the right, you have 45 plus 16. Okay, so what's 45 plus 16? Where's my calculator? I mean, you can do it in your head as well, but okay, just in case. So 45 plus 16 is 61. So I get 61 here. Okay, so where did the 61 come from? I summed up the 45 and the 16. The 16 came from the completion of b over 2 squared. The 45 came from this constant that inverse operated over the equal sign. Okay, so that's 61. That's my summation. I need to factor this side, right? So I sum the right, but I'm going to factor the left. Okay, you're absolutely welcome to do your magics to complete the magic X, but then I'm going to show you the shortcut. My fingers are getting tired from holding it. Okay, what do you have? 16B. Okay, 16 and 8. What two numbers multiply to 16 but sum to 8? 4 and 4. Now, these two numbers are the same. They will always be the same. Always, 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 because the entire point is to complete the square. What we're essentially looking for is a sum of two squares. Now, you can go ahead and take the step, but if you remember, the reason why I tell you to take it step by step is your b over 2 squared, 8 over 2 squared, 8 divided by 2 is 4. I don't want you jumping all the way to the 16 because this 4, it doesn't even show. Let's get a different marker. Because I don't know, some of you look at your, I just wrote all over my hand. Some of you look at your videos at night. I could tell by the way you submit the work. So I don't know how that's going to look. Okay, so when you factor x, okay, so let's take this yellow. All right, so I was just waiting for it to dry. Okay, so this 4, right before you square, that is always, always, always going to be that number that comes down to your sum of two squares. So when I ask you to factor, I'll still use the green. That is always a number that comes down to your sum of two squares. So when I tell you to factor, before you square, that number always, always, always comes down to your sum of two squares. Okay, now your 16, once you complete the entire b over 2 squared calculation, the 16 is your completion of the completing the square, so that 16 has to exist on both left and right side of the equal sign to maintain equity, to maintain this equal sign. If you only put it on one side, it's no longer equal. You heavied up the left, so then it's now a greater than symbol. Or if you only put it on the right, it's a less than symbol. And so it matters. Okay, both sides. That's why I put 2 boxes. Okay, so now you're here. You completed the square. This is essentially it. But we want you to find the roots, which basically means to solve. Finding the roots, now you're back into solving by square roots. So if you remember, you're now going to square root. So I'm going to go ahead and square root the left, square root the right. And so my radicand x plus 4 is equal to plus or minus. And what is the square root of 61? I get, where's SD? 7.8. Okay, plus or minus 7.8, 7 and 8 tenths. Inverse operate that -4. I get x is equal to -4 plus or minus 7 and 8 tenths. And so I get -4 plus 7.8, whoops, is 3.8 positive. And then my other root, well, I don't have to do that. -4, -7, you just add them, keep the sign. -11.8. And so these two are my intercepts, my roots, my zeros, my solutions. It's where the parabola crosses your x-axis. Yes. Okay, 2 and 3, go ahead and do those. Okay, so number 4, it says here, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Okay. This coefficient of x squared, a should be 1. If not, divide, so a is 1. Okay, so here a is 10. No good. I need to complete the square. So what do you do? So I'll start it off and then I'll kind of let you guys go from there. You then divide it out. So divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10, divide by 10. And so now reduce x squared plus 2x minus 8, right? And any numerator that is 0, the fraction is just 0, right? Okay, and so there you are. And so now you're right back to these 3 problems. And so go ahead, take the c value over, right? Create your boxes, take the b over 2 squared. This is your formula, right? This is your key. This is what you need to know. Yes. Okay, so this is the lecture and the assignment. Go ahead and solve these and have a great day. I'm going to load another video for the graphing kids And then I'll put up the quiz and the extra solving quiz and extra solving test. But remember, you have to do the quiz in order for you to request the test from me. Okay, and you have to complete these assignments. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.